Hi, my name is Debbie Radvar, and I'm a holistic practitioner, and I've been doing this about 25 years. Kind of came by it like I didn't think I was going to go into this. I just wanted to freelance write, and I went into body work. And on my journey, what I would realize is how much tension people kept in their bodies. And the more I got into more energy work and craniosacral therapy, people would unwind. And it was just amazing to see how much the physical body has to do with the anxiety state. So I started taking neuroemotional techniques, somatic emotional release, because people would have release of emotions and stuff that they'd been dealing with for years, like chronic pain, would just go away. So it's really been my focus the last probably 10 years. So especially after COVID, I just felt like the average, even teenager, was on 6 meds and there's no end in sight, and no one is getting to the root cause. Everyone is just, oh, you're stressed, so let's take this. And not that the drugs aren't wonderful and they work, or they can teach you tools and you can do talk therapy, which is, again, great. All the tools don't work if your nervous system is invoked to the point that you can't take a deep breath or you're in fight or flight. So when you're in fight or flight, you're only going to breathe enough to run from the bear, you're going to sleep enough to run from the bear, digest enough to run from the bear. You're not going to truly heal, and you're not going to be able to relax, and you're absolutely not going to be able to get into the moment and enjoy your life whatsoever. Part of what I do is a functional physiology where we manually get the body out of fight or flight. It's working with the HPAT axis because blood sugar is a big piece of this. People diet is so huge and people don't realize that. Neurotoxicity is big. So I've always tried to work with functional medicine doctors that help, chelating the heavy metals out. If you have too many heavy metals, they store in the brain. A lot of people can't methylate. You don't methylate B vitamins, which means you can't calm your nervous system down. The heavy metals, it's we're electrochemical. So if you have something short-circuiting that electric current, the communication between the organs and the glands is going to be challenged because the metals displace the minerals. And it's the minerals and the B vitamins that create the neurotransmitters in your body. So, you're just working against your own chemistry if you don't have the basic raw materials in place, or if you have something that's just displacing it. Because, the average person is taking 1,000 supplements, but again, they're still running from the bear. So part of this protocol that we're creating is detoxing the chemicals out. Again, we had different practitioners. We had this wonderful integrative psychiatrist. We had a few MDs. We had Jen Ciceri, who's a functional nutritionist who's been amazing. It was great to bring together doctors who not only have done it, but they've really worked through this test is good, this test is not good. So we ran about 7 people through the protocol, and so we worked on getting out the toxicity. Almost everyone had heavy metals. And then I worked with the nervous system. So what I do is craniosacral, I do emotional release work, but what we're really doing is decompressing the nervous system, because your autonomic nervous system will always win. So your subconscious beliefs, that's going to drive the train. The one analogy I like to use is that if you're drowning, if you take a breath, you're going to drown, but you can't not take a breath. Your autonomic nervous system will win. So when someone relapses or someone's, binging on ice cream, they're just self-medicating. They're really just trying to feel better. For example, if you don't methylate B vitamins, you don't absorb niacin. Niacin, if you ever take niacin, you get a niacin flush. Picture your blood vessels just relaxing. So if someone never feels that, they're always pretty wired. You think it's your personality, but it's your chemistry. When you take niacin in the form of niacinamide, people get that release. But also nicotine, that's a form of niacin. That's why say a person has never felt that relax, they have their first cigarette, that nicotine has that relax effect. Of course they're going to get addicted to nicotine. So I really do think a lot of people with addiction are just self-medicating. So what I do also with craniosacral therapy is picture the nervous system as a pressure stat system. And if you take a balloon and you twist it a few times, there's more pressure. On a scale of 1 to 10, you start out at a 9. And even though the twist could be anywhere along the spine, you're going to feel it. People get migraines, they get low back pain, or it's also just putting pressure on the brainstem, which that's traffic control for all your hormones. And hormones aren't just estrogen and progesterone and all the things we learn about. It's cortisol, it's insulin. So again, when we get our blood sugar regulated, everything vasodilates, your body's just going to function better. So part of my protocol is we go in, we do tapping, we release some of these big T, little t traumas. Most people have been working with a counselor. So I'm just going in and kind of relaxing their body so they can actually use the tools. So I've also added breath work. I always recommend breath work, but when I got trained, I'm now a certified Soma breath instructor, and it's wonderful because it helps override your system. So it has music that has the binaural beats, so it really kind of entrains your brain into relaxing the nervous system. There's visuals, and then we kind of talk you through the breath. And so it's rhythmic breathing, which is great because you're going to breathe in your nose and out your mouth. And then it also includes breath holds. And when you really hold that breath out, as long as you can, it creates intermittent hypoxia, which is phenomenal, because then what happens is then your blood can actually release the oxygen deep into the muscles. So, and then you go back into the rhythmic breathing. So it's a combination of rhythmic breathing and breath holds, which really relaxes the nervous system. So we've been doing that with people. We've been doing the craniosacral therapy. People have been, trying to meditate. But before, if you're agitated, you can't meditate. So some of these things that we brought in, these tools, which will be on the website as resources, are things that help, entrain the system. They override the system because, you're really working against your own chemistry. So by addressing the chemistry, by addressing the structural limitations, and getting rid of the toxicity, I really feel like these are critical in making a difference. The two people that we've been following on camera, Ronnie and Gina, to watch has been so exciting. Like even when I was doing interviews at Sedona Alternative to Meds, just hearing that what I've been reading about and really thinking was necessary, this comprehensive approach, seeing it done, like I just remember being so emotional while we were videoing in Sedona. But then to actually watch these two people transform, quite a few people went through it, but these two in particular, I've known forever. And it's just to see, just to watch them struggle when they try everything. It's not a willpower thing. It's not a mindset. They have it. They're two of the most disciplined people I've ever met. They have the biggest hearts. They're very sensitive, but they were just always working against their chemistry. And with each one, we tweaked it and, we did different things. It wasn't like a blind, like a blanket effect, but both of them, it would go up, down, but each time they would maintain. And really, I feel like the change that I've seen in them has been sustained. It's been over a year. Ronnie's been sober now for, I think, 8 months. But I even knew him before he ever drank. He was always fighting his chemistry. He had ADHD. He would get angry. He'd get frustrated. He'd get overwhelmed very easily. Just to see him happy and calm and disciplined, and it's like, do you need a session? No, I'm good. He's great. So part of my goal with people is to get it so they don't need me and they don't need to keep going. Like when you have chronic pain and you have to get adjusted and acupuncture and everything, it just becomes an expensive aspirin. So really the gift is, get everyone in a place where their chemistry supports the lifestyle that they want, and it's sustainable. It's something that they can do themselves. They don't need to outsource, or go find anything outside of themselves. They can always tune into their breath. They can always calm down their nervous system. And they know what things trigger them and what will not. But now they have the ability to sustain that.